Hey, yo, Reaper, those kids out there seem mad thirsty. You got something for them to drink?
Yo, we could wet up 2 cups of blood.
Hey, Matt here, DJ Vellocet, Vellocet with
Mechno, DJ Mechno Sratu, Mechno. What up, kids? I gotta say, I want to do drugs and just listen to the theme song on repeat.
Oh, Jesus.
It is so good.
I can make you an extended version.
Hell yeah.
It might be better.
Now we're talking.
Or something.
All right, hey.
So
it's great to see you, and welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, and anyone who wants to reach out, I always forget to say it, 2 Cups Podcast, that's the number 2, Cups Podcast at gmail.com. Any comments, suggestions, beratings?
Yeah, I can handle it. I know I'm an idiot. You're not going to surprise me.
Well, tonight we have something special. First of all, I want to apologize a little bit. We did not get our act together to get an episode out for October. We had Halloween topics planned, which we'll probably talk about today. But we're just going to get the schedule going. Lots of things happening, so we're going to try to make up for it.
You know, you're too kind, because really this falls all on me. I had so much travel for work. I had a trip to New Hampshire, a trip to Georgia, Atlanta, and a trip to New Jersey, like successive weeks, and every week it was like a new surprise work trip. Damn. So I just was ruined. It almost ruined my October.
Oh.
Almost. It rallied at the very last couple days. All right.
Okay, good.
Nice.
So our first drink tonight, I want to have a little preamble to here, because when I first came to this town, I grew up in a small town, central New York, upstate. For people who don't know New York, they probably just call it upstate. But there's a lot of New York that's not New York City. A whole lot of it. I come from a land of heavy snows, lake effect snow, and just a very small place.
Builds character.
Never really knew what goth was.
Okay.
And I came out to college in Albany, and the college had this thing called the internet, which I had heard of. But, you start reading about different scenes and different things going on. And I remember in the, mid-'90s, I was reading a lot about people drinking Snakebite and wearing pointy boots, which
the Winkle Pickers
was probably coming from the UK mostly.
Okay.
So this is kind of a UK drink. So I was curious about Snakebite.
Super dark.
I never looked up what Snakebite was. And finally, I said, all right, I always assumed it was something potent, something, deadly.
Yeah.
And I look it up, and to my surprise, it's really just half a hard cider and half, what is it,
Guinness?
Lager?
Is it
It has nothing to do with Guinness.
Oh, okay. It's just a lager.
Yes, I believe so.
All right.
Yes, a lager. And if you want to add something to it, I think it's usually like a blackcurrant liquor to make it a black snakebite or something to that effect. So that's what we've tried to somewhat replicate tonight, but a slightly dumbed down version, I guess. What we have is half a hard cider of something. It's actually a very light. I don't have the.
Is it down east?
It's not down east. It's similar.
Okay.
It's a very light, well balanced one, and very sort of champagne-y, a light,
Okay, a light hard cider.
Right.
Bright. It's not like low calorie, right?
No.
Okay.
No,
it's a bright. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. With we're actually using Guinness for this one.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I understand.
It was suggested by Kai, actually, to maybe start with this. I'm someone who really hates beer, so this was kind of a dumbed down version for me.
Now, did you beta test this before the show?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did. Yeah.
I was I was wondering how much potential for a really bad drink we have, which I think that could be entertaining too. If it like absolutely blows, we can at least save some people.
No, I think this is actually pretty decent.
Okay.
And it has, we've added...
Smells nice.
I believe it's Farmer's... Motherfucker. I should have brought the shit down.
It was a small batch...
Small batch, it's actually a...
Cassis liqueur.
I have to look.
Don't worry, you'll never be able to find it because they only made like 18 bottles.
It's from Cooperstown.
There we go. Oh, perfect.
I know
home
that
of the
much.
Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yes, Cooperstown, New
Nice.
York. It's actually I think it's a vodka.
Yeah, it is. They also have a dope-ass pumpkin regatta where they sail pumpkins across the lake, but...
I've heard of that. You've told me about that.
Yeah, it's good shit. Anyhow.
So there's maybe a splash, less than a shot of that in here as well.
Yeah.
So check that out.
I'm ready. I'm doing it. You do first. I want to see your face.
It makes beer drinkable.
You're not repulsed. I'll try it.
No, it's not repulsive. It's heavy. It's sweet.
It's like if you were able to put a hard cider. It's like a drink version of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
It's got a lot going on.
Because there's like the Guinness is kind of the bread of the situation. And the cider is the peanut butter analog, and the cassis is the jelly. The cassis is the other word for blackcurrant. Currant?
I actually have no idea.
Yeah, it's the other same deal. So, yeah, I think it's like drinking a kind of pleasant sandwich.
Yeah, it's got some calories in it.
It does.
So that'll keep you alive if you're stranded somewhere. So, I mean, purists will say that's not a snake bite. And I agree with them. But it's interesting to know that the sort of mythic drink that I've been hearing about for, 25 years is really...
a beer cocktail.
Yeah. It's like I never bothered to look up what the hell it actually was. So I find this very interesting.
I like that we've delved into the history books for this one.
Yeah.
That's good. It goes way back.
It does, man. Whoa. And I don't know I don't know when it came into favor. I don't know why it's associated in goth culture or used to be associated in goth culture. I don't know the history of it, but it's only my personal history with it.
That works for me, man. I got no history. Well, I've seen it, but I didn't know it was a goth. I didn't even know it had any goth footprint.
Or I guess goths in Europe enjoy it.
Well,
or something.
Cheers, mate. Bloke?
Yeah.
Wait, is mate more like Australian?
No. I
Okay.
think mate's still...
All right, good.
Yeah.
Cheers, bloke.
Sure. No.
Ching.
I don't know.
There.
Yeah.
Tick.
Tick, tick. Boom. What is it?
Boom, boom, tick. Yeah. Oh, Keith. Rest his soul.
Yeah. So, yeah, busy October, but here we are.
Yeah, we survived.
Yeah.
There's that thing where Halloween means so much to me that it almost instills performance anxiety. Like, it's like, no, it's gotta be fucking lit. It's gotta be lit. And I start making these crazy plans for my costume, and everything fucks with my plan, and it doesn't come together, and I get, like, the pre-Halloween depression where I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna roll back to plan B and wear a bag over my head.
Yeah, I really didn't even try this year. It was just, the shit was too busy. I didn't even feel it. You know how, like, you get excited for it and you're like, yeah. And I don't know. I've just didn't have the opportunity to like really breathe and feel the season coming and get ready and do something about it.
But I respect it because really it has to be a genuine embrace of the holiday. You can't front. And it's funny because as much as I love Halloween, I very, very, very rarely do any decoration on my place. It's mostly just my house looks kind of creepy all year.
Yeah.
Like, creepy enough that the kids know not to mess with it. Even though these fucking kids, man, I got a quick sidetrack. These kids, They go around my neighborhood and they test every car door to see which ones are open, and then they will ravage the sunglass container and the coin tray. But they're so highbrow that they won't trifle with dimes and nickels. Please, 25-cent pieces only, sir.
Whatever.
Yeah, so like I just look forward to the day that I happen to see one of these kids doing it. Because I am fucking fast, and I have no hesitation about clocking a child. I really don't.
Well, that'll be fun, won't it?
Wait a minute, that sounds bad. I think I would just, like, chase them while saying, why do you have to keep doing this to me? You know I can't remember to lock my car door.
Nice.
Yeah. So where do we want to start tonight?
Oh, man.
There's some shit.
There's a lot that's been going on. Let's talk, in the Halloween theme, because this is a Halloween makeup
Halloween
episode.
theme, yeah.
And again...
The retro-testicular? Yeah.
Ooh.
No, the retro-testicular Halloween.
Ay.
The balls of seasons past.
So... You have thrown successful parties. I've thrown successful parties.
Yeah.
Not necessarily specifically Halloween-y, but there's a certain Halloween party I remember very fondly. And I think we've talked about, making a big old pot on the stove of, soft apple cider with some rum, and just heating that baby up and just making it really tasty and really dangerous.
You remember that? Do you remember the specific dangerous Halloween concoction?
You put some kind of Applejack in there too.
Yeah,
personally, I don't think that's needed.
Well, I guess the thing is, when you're dealing with hot apple cider, it has so much character that it can sort of sweep all the other alcohol that's in it under the rug. Especially if you're already tipsy, you're like, oh, it's just apple cider.
Yeah.
And next thing you know,
I have to say, many people have tried to emulate what you did that night. And I don't think any of it was as successful. I can always taste something going on. I'm like, oh, okay, it's appley, but it's kind of ugh. And that stuff from your stovetop was just right in the zone. And I don't know how to get back to that place, but it was a good place.
Thank you very much. I hesitate to even try it again because I'd maybe just leave it special. I think, there's definitely new ground to cover, especially with all the fine cocktails that we've had. I think, bloodbath variants are the future.
Bloodbath is the move. I think we have to come up with some new bloodbath concoctions.
Absolutely.
So I think that's ripe ground right there.
Hell yeah.
Maybe next time we'll have a bloodbath.
Tune in next time for the reveal of bloodbath and bloodbath whatever.
Yeah. Are there any other Halloween party ideas? I mean, I'm such a, I don't know, coming from having fun at the club and wanting to create atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
You gifted me a fog machine many years ago for the party that I had, and it recently died. But
rest in peace.
Yeah, the pump just doesn't work.
That's that.
Consistently. But I think it's a lot of fun to have a fog machine at a party, especially if you have a dance floor. If you're just, puffing it in people's faces, that's not so great. But if you actually have a dance floor and you're trying to do something kind of fun, I think it's pretty cool.
Fog machine is a good go-to.
Yeah.
Any lighting that you have set up for your party is it gets an exponent added to its coolness if you have a fog machine. That's just the way it is.
Anything else you would recommend?
I don't. It's one of those things where I know how I like to throw a party, and it's not always possible. If you're a renter and you have an apartment, it may not be easy to have themed areas. So I would say just go with one theme and invest in that environment and try to make it an alternative space where it's kind of removes you from the everyday. If you happen to be renting a larger space or owning a larger space, breaking it up into different, like, aesthetic spaces is cool too. Like, I remember, I think for that one particular Halloween party, it was a simple thing, but I just had a room that had, like, a lot of black balloons in it.
I don't remember if that was the same one or a different one, but I do remember that.
Yeah, I might have been the same. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but there was one party with a lot of black balloons, and, you know, I have extremely fond memories of the shenanigans that went on in the back balloon room.
Yes.
Just people going in, kicking balloons around, like, sitting on the floor and, like, kind of wallowing in balloons. It was good. It was really fun, and it was like pretty easy.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah, cheap and easy.
Yeah.
So, like, that sort of thing. It's really getting the right philosophy about what you want to do in a party. And I guess inviting the right people. And I'm not saying like an elitist thing. I mean, as the host, you don't want to kind of worry that people are robbing you or breaking your shit.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, inviting the people who don't stress you out is a good move.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, if you have an idea of the social dynamics involved, you might want to try to, you know, have a group that's going to get along. And
in planning next year's party, I've already hit some friction because I tend to, like, a rager. Like I got to clean the basement up so that we can have a full 4 floors of party, and it's just, like, insane.
You do have enough sound systems for that, though, don't you?
I do now, yes, absolutely. I've already been thinking about that. But beyond that, I mean, you want to know what your goal of the party is. Like, there's a party that's more moderated that you have, like, certain events that happen, like the midnight tea party and a seance and, like, things like that you can plan around. Or just, like, a self-guided tour of, like, the fucking party of the century. So, like, I'm advocating for party of the century. Chimera's advocating for the structured, close friends. A few, like, people are sleeping over and, like, not having to worry about, like, drunk people trying to make their way home. It's like after a certain point, if you're there, you're staying kind of thing.
There's advantages to each, I suppose.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I like the rager. When I look forward to being an extrovert, I go all in. Like, that's a good time. But when I don't want it, it's not a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, dope. Dope as hell. I hope everyone has an inspiration from our little chat we just had and throws a party.
Yeah, it's good to do your own thing and make your space available for something different, and to, you know, it's a good feeling to have a successful party, and it's fun. You know, you get your last friends to get their asses up off the floor and get out, or, you know, go to breakfast together or something, and it's a good time. In
October, I felt like everyone was so hyped this year that everyone was throwing a party. And I'm not to say that, like, I'm like this guy Phil. His name wasn't really Phil, but I called him Phil because he had this nice character of being a dude who would be good filler at a party. He's pleasant. He's not going to break or steal your shit. He will bring at least as much as he's going to consume, probably a little more. And so, you know, I as being a Phil myself, I feel like it makes it easy to get invited to parties. And so, like, just October, I was kind of overwhelmed that every weekend was at least 2 parties that I was, like, invited to and honored to be invited to. But I think in the end, I went to a total of 0. It's just, it got overwhelming with, like, something on the calendar every Friday, every Saturday, and then, like, a stupid ass work week. So, like, parties are dope, but don't overdo it, man.
Yeah, that's true. Did you get any spooky satisfaction on any of your work trips?
I learned some stuff. Actually, yes. Actually, you might have had some insight to that question, because on the trip that I had to take to New Hampshire, under slight duress, I was having a bad night. I was irritated that it was the night where, like, I was out there for a couple days, like 3 or 4 days for this conference, and one of the nights was the social. And we all met up at this bar where, because I am on a self-imposed exclusive diet, nothing really met what I felt like I should be eating. And I just was kind of cranky and miserable about it. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. New Hampshire's not that far from Massachusetts. I'm just going to bust out and go to Salem.
Oh, nice.
And it was nice, yeah. Like, I have to say, arriving at 9 p.m. in Salem before Halloween was cool. It was like the main park where they put up all the orange lights. It was all set up and it was all lit, but there were no crowds. There was just like, we ran into a couple other people who were taking photos. I offered to hold their phone and take pictures for them, and they reciprocated. It was nice. And we ate at UFO Pizza.
Nice.
Yeah, which is, I guess I'm not going to go into it. I'll just say either look it up or make a note. No, excuse me, I called it UFO. It's Flying Saucer Pizza. So, Flying Saucer Pizza, you can look it up and see what they offer, or just make it a destination, because their pizzas are crazy. And that was also not on my meal plan, but it was at least worth cheating on, instead of like some buffet like pub food that was not dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get to see anything in Georgia.
Okay.
That was bullshit.
Just work and...
Well, they fucking sucker punched me with that shit. They're like, come out Monday for a meeting Tuesday morning. And I was like, okay. So Monday night, I'll actually see something of Atlanta. It's a good give and take. I'll do it. And then I got out there and, like, they had booked client dinners for me to attend. And, like,
what?
The dude was cool and all, but I could have had a drink with him anywhere. I could have eaten dinner with him at anywhere. I didn't need to sit down at an expensive, like, chain restaurant. But, yeah, hey.
Okay.
I guess people have worse jobs than having to go out to nice restaurants, so what the fuck am I complaining about?
That's one way to look at it, sure.
But I didn't get to see shit.
Okay.
And that's the thing. And then Jersey was just like a grind. But it was fine.
Okay.
It was fine, whatever.
Well, let's back up a couple hops.
Yeah.
So Salem, just to make it clear to anyone who hasn't experienced it, Salem on Halloween is kind of insanity. The other word I want to use is shit show.
It's interesting. What are your impressions of it? I'd love to hear your take. I agree completely.
I did it once, 10 or 12 years ago, and it was really cool. I had a good time.
Wait, that wasn't that long ago.
No, that was my second time is what you're thinking of.
Okay.
So the first time, it was cool. Like, we got to see the little cemetery. It wasn't overrun. There were a lot of people there, but it wasn't insane. And then I was told all my new friends, hey, this is a really fun thing to do. Salem's awesome. Let's go. And you guys all came out, and it was overrun and just wall-to-wall people, which is not my strong suit.
It's not your jam. It's not what I would say you're into at all, in the slightest.
Not really.
I mean, I definitely love a shit show. Like, when it's too much, that's the right amount for me. So, like, I definitely liked, like, the palpable feeling of escalating danger as the Halloween amateurs who are just, like, bros who are not even wearing costumes and women who were dressed as I think every woman was dressed as like, what's her name?
Mira?
No, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I wouldn't know.
Melina? Whatever.
I can't help. I'm sorry.
So whatever. So like one of the mortal, not Sonya Blade.
Okay.
Blade? Well, anyhow, yeah. So like they were all dressed as like the Mortal Kombat femme fatale with the fan thing, right?
Okay.
And I saw no fewer than like 10. So like it was a very common costume, even though there wasn't like a new movie or anything coming out.
I don't know.
But yeah, it was wild.
I just want to make the point, Salem in Halloween season, fun, nice. Salem on Halloween, you need to love big crowds of people to have a good time, I think.
Yeah.
So, just putting that out there.
That's a good observation.
So, a friend of mine invited me on a sort of random trip to Philadelphia.
Oh, the city of brotherly love?
I think so.
Did you feel it?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't bad. I'm just, I didn't feel loving. But it was about a week before Halloween. And we wanted to go out there and do some of the spooky things.
Okay.
So we did. And, I had a really good time. Left me with a pretty good impression of the city. And it was pretty cool. And I think it's worth checking out.
Philly?
Yeah.
Now, you're a vegetarian, yes?
Yes.
Did you have a vegetarian Philly cheesesteak while you were out there?
I had the idea, but it didn't happen. And I'm not really a big fan of peppers. Like, onions, okay, but the peppers, I can...
It's a gastric challenge, I guess.
It's just green pepper. I don't really like it. I don't know.
I feel that. Feel it.
I didn't specifically not look for it, but I didn't happen upon it, so it didn't happen.
I want to know more about Philly. What did you do out there that, like... Okay, here, two things. What did you do that you would suggest doing? And what did you do that someone might take a pass on if they weren't really feeling it?
It's always hard to remember the less memorable things.
Oh, that's true.
Let me give you the big three highlights.
Yeah, hit it.
So the first thing we did was we went to a museum that's, I think, attached to a medical college. It's the Mutter Museum, M-U-T-T-R with an umlaut over the U.
Okay.
So it's a medical history museum. They have a lot of older specimens of, all kinds of human deformities, and they have a lot of bones. They have a big skull collection, things like that. So kind of a morbid, natural history kind of thing. And it's not the biggest place, but they have a lot of things I had never seen before. And, you have to kind of like the morbid to enjoy it. And if you, even liking the morbid, it might get to be a little too much after, I certainly had my fill after an hour and a half or so. But they have some really cool skeletons. Like, I feel like most of the time we see bones, like human bones, skulls, whatever. They're either, they're cast in resin, or they're just plastic, or they're not very detailed. They're certainly not real. And when you see real bone, there is certainly a texture and sort of a luminescence. There's a beauty to it, which is like really cool to be able to see like up close in person. So I got a lot out of that. And, they have a collection of like 50 or more skulls from different years, different places around the world. And they're sort of labeled, with as much information, I think, as they have. And it's really interesting to see all the variations in different skulls, people of different ages, people from different places, just how you can actually see the differences. It was super interesting.
That leaves me with two questions. The first question is, Is it expensive to buy a skeleton? I feel like it
must
is.
be, yeah.
I feel like an actual human skeleton is going to cost you.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's cool, but I think it's going to cost. And 2, is it just me, or do you ever just like look at people while you're talking to them and try to like envision what the shape of their skull is? Like what their skull looks like if they didn't have any skin and like muscle and stuff?
I haven't before, but going to a place like this would make you think that way.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
For a little bit.
I think that like a lot of like popular like celebrities have like really pointy ass skulls. Not like the top of their skull, but like their cheekbones will like pop out more for some reason. I don't know that they have great skulls for like after the fact. They waste all their aesthetic on being alive.
That's possibly true.
My feeling.
They had a lot of stuff there. They had a lot of dried human specimens. There was a dried head in one of the displays upstairs. That is to say, on the level where you go in, there's a downstairs that you can go into as well. But I'd never seen an actual, like, mummified probably isn't the right word. It's just a dried head. One eye was kind of mostly closed, and they even still had the eyelashes on it. The other eye was kind of open with an empty socket, and there was, dried flesh on it, and it's pretty morbid. Yeah, it's pretty morbid. But, there's a lot of different stuff like that. There's a lot of fetal skeletons and things like that. Some deformities, a lot of curved spine disorders.
Kind of thing.
Scoliosis, yeah. And there's also one where it just bends and makes you really short. A lot of sad stories attached to some of the specimens you could read about, things like that. So it can get to be a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, intellectual, don't go there tripping, maybe?
Oh, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't advise. No. Oh, son, don't do that.
No, it's not a great idea. But it's super interesting, and if you're into the morbid, it's definitely a place to hit. Very interesting collection. What the hell was that?
I don't know.
Anyway.
That's fascinating.
Yes.
And was it a crass question? I'm sorry. Was it an expensive tour?
I don't think so. I think it was maximum $12.
No, that's approachable.
8, 10, 12, somewhere in that range. No, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm not remembering. It might have been as much as $20, but not more than that.
Even so, I mean, given inflation, that's not a huge figure.
Yeah. Oh, let me give you one more little tidbit. There was also something we almost didn't see. And on that stairwell that goes down, underneath it, on one side of it, there's many drawers. And they're closed, so you're not really recognizing, okay, they're drawers, but I didn't think they were an exhibit. But there's a little card next to the drawers. And it says, they have a doctor's name and a year. And it's like this doctor donated these items that he had recovered that his patients had either inhaled or swallowed.
That's amazing.
So you start opening these drawers, and most of the drawers are labeled. And they say things like pins and hardware.
Oh, no.
They say things like...
marbles?
No, not specific, like jewelry.
Okay.
Or, and you just open these things, and there's like there's jacks that are like metal jacks this big around. There's pins, there's bobby pins that are like 4 inches long. Like
there is some sort of mental compulsion to swallow sharp things. I am grateful to not have that compulsion. I have impulses that I pretty successfully moderate usually, but swallowing sharp things is not. I've never looked at a razor blade or something and been like, snacky.
Well, thankfully, I didn't see any razor blades, but we didn't look very deeply. It is amusing to open these drawers and just be like, what the fuck? And, okay, swallowed is one thing.
Was there a butt stuff drawer?
No.
Okay.
Everything was swallowed or inhaled,
okay.
And it wasn't labeled what was what. So you're thinking, well, who the hell was snorting, like, this little metal airplane, or, you know, when I say little, I don't mean like a game piece, like a Monopoly player piece. I mean more of a, you know, Matchbox car-sized item.
Kids do dumb shit. I once put a quarter up my nose, and I just like put it up, and then like there's a moment of panic when it like crosses a threshold and it just pops up into your nasal cavity. Luckily, I grew up into like in a household that happened to have like medical hemostats, so I was able to like Total Recall style get it up there, find it, grip it, and then extract it.
Right. Let's
not really a negative experience, but you got to watch that, guys.
Okay. So anyway,
okay.
Highlight number 2 was a haunted house that they do in Philadelphia.
Nice.
So in 18 something, they opened I believe it's called Eastern State Penitentiary. So it's kind of a very large, like 2 city block sized prison, state prison that was open until the 70s.
Oh.
And it's like in downtown Philadelphia. I thought we were going to have to drive to this thing, but it was like a 5-minute walk away from our Airbnb.
That's where like Philadelphia Batman put all the villains, right?
Dude, it's nuts. It's nuts. And they take over. I mean, the place is open for tours year round. Al Capone was in one of the cells for a while. That's one of the big things there. And there's a few things. But at Halloween season, they take over pretty much the whole place. And they make like, you know, when it's separated into these different cell blocks that are actually different physical buildings. And they have like 5 of these places done up in different styles. So it's not cheap. I think tickets are $40, $50. And there are long lines, but the lines move. And you get a specific time you're supposed to show up, you know, like a half-hour window, you show up and you get in line and you go through there. And it's like, it was actually, not that I have a ton of experience, but it's definitely the best haunted house experience I've ever had.
Cool.
A lot of unique things, a lot of well-done things, custom. Like, they're not buying this stuff. Like, some of this is definitely custom-made. Some really unique stuff. And then, oh my God, we got to a whole section of this place. And it's, maybe this is a spoiler, maybe I shouldn't reveal this, but there's a part where they give you 3D glasses.
Okay, I'm ready.
And you go in, and it's like all black light, and it's all bright neon colors on like black walls. And somehow I don't know what they're doing exactly to get the 3D effect, but it's all popping out. And it's like trippy as hell. And it's fun, and they're kind of scaring you. And then you go around a corner, and then it's all pink walls and evil clowns. And it's still in 3D, and it's fucking crazy. And then you go around a corner, and it's like spiders with the 3D shit on them, and they're, you know, it's just, it went on and on. Like, that 3D part was awesome.
This is absolutely becoming a must-see destination.
I believe it's called Terror Behind the Walls.
Okay.
And it's the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia.
Down with it.
Awesome stuff.
That is awesome.
It was really cool.
Next year, doing it.
And once you get out, there's you can get like cheap carnival food.
Nice. That's awesome. So keeping with this, was there a third thing?
One last highlight.
Yeah.
We also went to one of the larger historic cemeteries in Philadelphia. It's called Laurel Hill Cemetery. And it was really cool. It's huge. We did not see all of it. We saw a good chunk. A lot of... they do like tours and Halloween-y stuff, but we just went to walk around and see it. I'm into cemeteries, especially big, like peaceful ones with unique sculpture. I think that's really cool. Found some really unique things here that I hadn't seen before, and some beautiful, like really old, huge trees. They have a view over. I'm ignorant of the geography, so it's a river.
Okay.
And actually, they were having some kind of regatta there. So there were like crew teams in the river and a lot of
Cool.
people around down where you could see them. A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, this is a beautiful place. I highly recommend checking it out if you're into that kind of thing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. That sounds like a really... How long was your total trip?
I think it was basically like a Thursday through... I think I went back Sunday. Early Sunday. So got out there Thursday night, had a good Friday, Saturday, full days, and went back on Sunday. So it was fun. I actually took a train.
Oh, cool.
So, I have to endorse trains as highly as I can. If you don't want to drive somewhere, try to take a train. Because, man, nobody hassles you. Nobody checks your baggage. You don't have to go through any fucking security checkpoints. It's just hassle-free, somewhat relaxing travel.
I like it.
It was a good time.
Would you consider Philadelphia an expensive city, or...
Not really. Once you've been to New York, nothing's
yeah.
going to shock you.
Yeah.
So compared to New York, no, it wasn't too bad.
I feel like New York is a lot like London in that if you wanted to spend like $3 on your lunch, you could find the option. It's just going to be like moderately disgusting. Like really greasy fried noodles or something for lunch. But you could do it. But then, like, if you wanted to spend $60 on your lunch, you could also easily do that.
Sure.
Yeah, very cool.
All right, so we did talk about some Halloween topics earlier. Let's talk about some classic cinema for a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, now we are talking on spooky shit, so, like, I know that, like, you have a really good background, I think, cinematically, of, like, some unsung heroes of the genre. They're not all, like, technically scary, but they're spooky. Spooky-esque, thematically congruent. What would you say?
What do you got?
I'm like for instance...
Underrated classics?
Well, the underrated classics, but I mean, let me think about this. Okay, I would say Evil Dead 2 is kind of a comedy.
It's so weird. Let me give you my quick Evil Dead story.
Yeah.
And I apologize if I've told this one before. I was quite young when my sister saw Evil Dead. And she came home and she told us about it. And I have this distinct memory of sitting at the kitchen table. It seems like everyone else had already eaten. And they had made me some leftover, roast beef. So it was roast beef and gravy on toast, right? That's what I'm eating. And it's already kind of gross.
I love it. I love this story already. And this is the first time. Absolutely. Okay. This is virgin territory.
So my sister is telling mostly my mother, but I'm there, so she's kind of talking to me too, about this movie she saw with her friend.
Yeah.
She must have been in high school. I must have been in, middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there. And she's saying, yeah, they rented this movie, and these teenagers, they go to this cabin in the woods, and they find this book made of, human flesh and inked in blood.
And then you look down at your roast beef on toast.
And as a 12-year-old, you're like, oh, that's fucking gross. Like, you'd never had that idea before, right? And then she's like, yeah, and then these people, they were possessed by these spirits, and you couldn't stop them, so you just had to hack the people into, small pieces. And I just remember being so disturbed by the idea of that movie. And I didn't want to watch Evil Dead forever after that. I couldn't think of anything worse than that. I had seen Alien, and that was probably my number one scariest, disturbing thing when I was younger. That's still one of my all-time favorite sci-fi horror movie. Whatever whatever category you put it in, it's number one.
Yeah.
But years later, when I was getting out of high school, I was 17, 18 years old. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to watch Evil Dead, see what this is about. And it was ridiculous. It wasn't. It was supposed to be scary.
I don't think it was.
But it wasn't that scary, 12 years, 20 years, whatever the hell it was made, to when I watched it. 20 years later, it wasn't that scary.
I feel like...
But it was well made. I see what was going on there.
Definitely cool effects. There was some like things that they did that were particularly cool.
Yeah, the whole end sequence where everything was like 45 degrees.
Yeah.
And all that. It was fun when everything started going crazy. And I was like, okay, I'm okay. This is fine. Like, okay, I get it. And then I watched Evil Dead 2, and it was just like so ridiculous, but so good at the same time and so bizarre. I don't know. It's just one of those things. It stayed with me as one of my all-time favorites. And
I think I misspoke. I think when you said Evil Dead, I thought you were talking about... I think Evil Dead was a sincere horror effort.
Oh, it was, yeah.
And Evil Dead 2, they definitely threw in like a very weird sense of humor. Like, there's a couple, like, Ready or Not, modern movie, is like, it shares that, like, weird playfulness of, like, sort of tempering the abject horror and anxiety of the situation by being so over the top that it kind of, like, ends up toning down the terror. So, like, yeah. Evil Dead 2, but I think you have some deeper cuts and digging deeper in the crates. I think you have like some pretty cool movies that
there's a few other
certainly
ones
I'm not familiar with.
Okay, well, one thing that people have at least heard of. If you've heard of this movie, if you like vampire movies, I would suggest you see this. It's not terribly original. A lot of people are probably like, "Oh yeah, whatever, I know." I still, every time I watch Fright Night, the original Fright Night from 1985, I get something else out of it. For some reason, it's just a silly movie. My mother saw it in the theater, and I remember her liking it. And a couple years later, when it came out on video, I checked it out, and I enjoyed it. But it's not like I had a deep reading of it. It's just one of these things that stuck with me over the years, and I watch it every now and again. And there's some technical things that are really well done in the movie. There's good acting in the movie. It's well constructed. And you can see the story from different characters' viewpoints. Like it's hard to describe, but the way they build up the vampire is interesting. And you can read it as he's just being a normal example of a vampire. And you can try to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, he's like supposed to be a really super old, very powerful vampire. And you might not pick that up right away. They try to give you clues, but they don't like hit you over the head with it.
I like that.
And then there's a whole reincarnation theme. And you can say, well, he's just after this girl because he looks like this old girl, okay. But then and he's using his vampire powers to entrance her. Okay, I get it. But then you can read it like, oh, this person is that person that he was in love with for so long and that was a vampire with him and that spent like years, like hundreds of years with him. And that's why she's so entranced by him. So I just think it's a deeper movie than it seems.
That's really cool. I think I was a lot younger when I saw the first Fright Night. And all I remember is, you're so cool, Brewster. That's the takeaway for me.
Evil Ed is wonderful, and I don't know why they didn't bring him back for the sequel, but they didn't.
They kind of did. Well, not for the sequel. For the remake or the sequel?
He was in the Okay, so...
He was in the remake.
Let's pause for a second.
All right, hold up.
There's a Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
There's an original Fright Night 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the remake.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a new Fright Night 2.
What?
That is not a remake of Fright Night 2. And it's not really a direct sequel to the new Fright Night either. It's kind of this weird thing that's like on its own. It's interesting, but it's not good. But the original Fright Night is definitely good. The original Fright Night 2 is good if you want to see like a super, super 80s ridiculous vampire movie.
Okay.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
It has some interesting things going on as well, but I don't think it's as good as Fright Night.
And how do you feel about the remake? There were a couple charming things. I don't think it had nearly the depth of the original.
I have to give it another shot. I love David Tennant in that role.
The whole like Midori, his addiction to Midori is amazingly quirky and ridiculous.
They gave a good twist to everything in the film, and I kind of like that. I don't hate it as much as other people do. I don't love it, but I didn't think of it as horribly disappointing like a lot of people did. I viewed it as its own thing, and it was kind of all right.
The vampire in that was Colin Farrell, right?
That's correct.
Did you get the impression that the entire time Colin Farrell was doing a Henry Rollins impression?
I didn't think of it that way, but I'm sure now if I rewatch it, that's all I'm going to be able to think of.
They absolutely 100% should have just gotten Henry Rollins, and the movie would have been much better.
Probably.
Any movie, most movies would be better if they just got Henry Rollins.
I kind of agree.
You know, Cable from Deadpool 2 should have been Henry Rollins.
That would have been good.
It would have been great.
Yeah.
What are they wasting these opportunities thinking that like Josh Brolin's going to get them some sort of accolade? Fuck Josh Brolin.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyhow.
All right.
I get carried away.
So I recommend Fright Night as an underappreciated. Now here's one probably no one has heard of. It's called Intruder, and it's from 1989. It's directed by Scott Spiegel. This movie was made almost directly after Evil Dead 2 by a lot of the same people.
Okay.
So Bruce Campbell pops up in a cameo at the very end.
Oh, cool.
You've got, Jake, who is screaming for Bobby Joe in Evil Dead 2. Bobby Joe, where are you, girl?
Okay.
He's in it quite a bit. Ted Raimi and Sam Raimi both act in it.
Very cool.
And it's pretty ridiculous. It's a bit over the top. But I think for most people, it's something you haven't seen, and it's amusing, so check it out. Intruder.
What's the general genre? Is it vampire still?
No, it's kind of a slasher movie. It's kind of it's set in like a big grocery store, and they're closing up for the night, and hijinks ensue.
Did they remake this? Because I think I've actually seen it.
I don't think so.
I can't remember too much about it, other than maybe there being an upstairs to the grocery store.
There definitely is an upstairs where the manager's office is.
Yeah, I think I did see this, and it was good.
It's fun.
It was a good movie.
It's not
going to give me nightmares.
It's not exactly quality. It's not disturbing or anything. It's just a fun, bloody, stupid 80s movie. It's kind of it's a good time. I would also recommend a movie called The Resurrected from 1992. The Resurrected is an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's The Case of Charles Dexter Ward.
Okay.
Which is one of my favorites. And The Resurrected stars Chris Sarandon, who played the vampire in Fright Night and Prince Humperdinck in The Princess Bride.
That guy.
He plays the I can't say too much without spoiling it, but he's a prominent character in it. And of course they have to write it as sort of a detective story. So as adaptations go, it's not terrible, but if you dig it, if you haven't read the story, I would definitely recommend the story because it's really, really good. But it's a fun movie. It's better than it should be. It's not amazing, but as far as Lovecraft adaptations, I think it's definitely one of the better ones.
Cool. Now, did you see the Netflix series? I'm going to say that the word haunting or haunted.
Haunting of Hill House?
Yes. Did you see that?
No.
It's fan-fucking-tastic.
That's what everyone says.
It is.
But I don't kind of want real-world depressing topics and addiction issues, and I feel like I've dealt with enough of that shit.
I feel you, bro. But at the same time, that shit is fan-fucking-tastic.
Someday when I'm feeling...
I can't even talk about it because some of the shit that they did was so cool that it really hasn't been covered in Ghost Story before. So, like, yeah, that was really good.
Okay. Someday. Perhaps.
Yeah.
I would also recommend, if people haven't seen the movie Life, from 2017 with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds.
That was freaky deaky, man.
That is worth seeing.
It's kind of there's a body horror thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's not everyone. If you have a sensitivity to that sort of thing,
it's not the movie for you.
It may not jive.
No.
But if you have a mild sensitivity to it, but also like getting heebie-jeebied out, then yeah, it's good.
Yes. I've
seen that one. And I think, do you have any more on your list of underappreciated?
No, I have some of my top classics if you want to talk about that, but no, those are my underappreciated.
Well, no, what's your classics? Because there's a classic that I want to touch on that I don't think gets nearly the play that the other classics do.
Okay. Well, I mentioned Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's not especially scary, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
has
great.
Gross out parts, and it's if you have any idea who Sam Raimi is and what his movies are like, it's just a great example. I mentioned Alien. It's not particularly Halloween-y, but it's still a super effective horror film with just such great production design, set design. Everything still looks super amazing in that movie. Like, it's just one of the best. I'm a huge fan of The Thing, John Carpenter's remake from 1982. Yeah. Just great suspense, awesome practical effects.
Very cool. Like, almost like kind of detective elements too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was interesting. It was like there were puzzles that they were working out that the viewer might actually have been able to figure. Like any mystery, I feel like it's a bullshit cop-out if there was zero chance for the audience to figure it out. If it's like there's elements that you didn't know about that the characters know about, that's bullshit.
Okay.
But yeah, The Thing was dope.
Yeah. And, Wilford Brimley.
Yeah.
Anything he's in.
His whiskers, man. Damn.
Yes. So another John Carpenter film that I think is the one that people don't give as much credit to.
Escape from New York.
Nope. Prince of Darkness from 1987.
I'm trying to remember that one.
That's the problem people have. If they've seen it, it doesn't stick with them. Prince of Darkness has a very interesting concept, and I find this extremely interesting. It's not expounded on the best way or to a great extent, but basically it's about how science is the truth of the universe.
Okay.
And religion was something that was a way to get the people going in the right direction, but like Jesus and God knew it was bullshit.
Okay, interesting.
And Satan is trapped in a vat of fluid that's being held in this monastery, and he's about to get out. And Satan is kind of the anti-Jesus, the Prince of Darkness.
Okay.
If he's the prince, who's the king is the anti-god.
Oh, okay.
And his role is to bring the anti-god into the world and destroy the world.
Fuck it up.
So it's got like some quantum theory, science bullshit, and Satan is this swirling fluid in this fucking glass thing. It's kind of off the wall, but it's pretty unnerving and
I'm down with it. This sounds really
interesting.
Good.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's got Keith David. It's got Alice Cooper playing a small role as a crazy homeless person.
Nice.
Some interesting stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
Prince of Darkness?
Prince of Darkness.
That's awesome.
John Carpenter, 1987.
That's cool.
Yep.
Other classics?
Nope. That's it.
I'd like to take a moment to honor a really underrated franchise. I don't, maybe I just saw it when I was impressionable. Back me up on this. Phantasm is cool, right? It's it's weird.
I came to Phantasm late in the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So I'm not as into it as I hoped I would be. The first film specifically, or you're talking to more of the series of it?
So, like, the things that Phantasm did that were really good was they were focused on asking compelling questions and not necessarily providing elaborate answers to those questions. It was just like, old people are fucking scary because you never know if one of those old people is really from another dimension and is fucking super strong, especially tall old people. They're a problem. So, like, it kind of makes something scary that would not normally be scary. And then there's, like, these floating, like, very, very dangerous floating balls that were basically like Christmas ornaments or whatever, but they had, like, little ornate knives that jabbed out of them. And the tall old dude, the tall man, would use them, like, kind of direct them to do killing for him. He very rarely, like, put his hands on people. He had the balls to do that shit. But they were, like, kind of Swiss Army balls because they had knives, they had, like, drills, they had, like, saw blades. There was so many different ways that those balls could fuck you up.
It's true.
And they were cool. But there was, like, this whole other shit where the tall man was, like, a scavenger from another dimension, and he was stealing corpses to reanimate and bring to a planet that has much higher gravity that would kind of crush them up and make them into, like, kind of like gnomes, like zombie gnome things that, like, he would...
Ugly dwarf.
Yeah.
Super strong dwarves or something.
It was all these fucking crazy-ass... these crazy-ass elements and weird questions that it asked with other cool elements, like a really cool car.
Yeah, agreed.
An absolute perfect hero in the form of Reggie, who was a, like, ice cream man / ladies man / hero when it came down to it. I think he made, like, a 6-barrel shotgun at some point for some reason.
At least 4.
At least 4.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Hard to say. I can't recall. It's been a while.
Oh.
But then, like, when I tried rewatching, or I tried introducing it to someone else, and they were like, this shit's whack. Why are we watching this? But
it's on the surreal edge, so it's like...
I think the first couple are really good.
If you can't get down with the dreamlike thing that it's going for,
yeah,
it's a tough sell.
But, you know, I say it's different. It's like, it's not Freddy, it's not Jason, it's not Michael Myers. But the tall man deserves a place in the pantheon of horror icons, I would say. He's one of those. Despite, I don't know if he ever actually killed a person directly.
I don't remember that. I'm not an expert, but I don't remember that.
He just gets angry.
He's certainly iconic.
Yeah.
He says boy a lot.
Yeah, he says boy. That's his thing. That's his line. Boy. You get pissed off, man. It's like any old person would. Like, boy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, I think they really, I don't know. I have fond recollection, and I kind of don't want to try to revisit it because I might feel bad. Like, I might feel like it lost its luster.
It's probably better to get into it young. I can see how the movie I always think of is that Kevin Bacon movie.
Tremors?
Yes, I always think of Tremors when it comes to there's just something happening and they don't even examine. They kind of cursorily examine it, but they never answer the question, okay, what are these things? Where did they come from? So that's kind of what Phantasm is all about. Like, there's just this shit happening, and you have no idea what it is, where it comes from, or what the story is. And it just keeps going, movie after movie, and you get a little bit more information, and then you get a little bit more information, and you're trying to, like, understand this thing, and you're like, wow, is this movie series worth it?
Yeah, that's true. That happens.
They're not scary exactly, but they're like this dark trip sort of, and you're just like, what?
Well, you saw the movie Signs, right?
Yeah, only once.
Forgive me if I have covered this before, but there is a version of Signs that is a really good horror movie. And the version, it was... So I had a friend who was connected with the studio, and I got to watch an early copy, the work print. And when you watch a movie work print, there's things that are missing. Maybe the score is not... where there would be music, there is no music, or
there's like temporary music.
Yeah, where there would be effects, there are no effects, or temporary effects, things like that. So the movie that I saw in watching Signs, they did not show the aliens at all until the very end. And it leaves you thinking that there's a chance that this family is absolutely losing their shit and giving into hysteria. Because you never actually see an alien, you just see like a cornstalk move, and it like freaks them out, and they start running through the cornfield, and you don't know what the fuck's happening. So like, I thought that was cool, and then at the end, it was like, there was like a dude in a suit. Like it was like an alien, but it wasn't like, it was like the alien reveal at the end where like there are aliens there, was not the strength of the movie. It was the complete lack of soundtrack and the hysteria that this family was feeling as they hear rumors of aliens, and then they start like thinking there's aliens everywhere, and are they here, and like setting up baby monitors to try to tune in what the alien frequency is, and they hear something like unintelligible on the monitor, and it's like, oh shit, it's the aliens. So like there is a really good, or there was a good version before it like completely Hollywooded and was polished poorly.
Yeah, I don't remember it well enough to speak to that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, if anyone can go back in time and watch it before it came out, I really recommend that one. That's really the way to go on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got other Halloween stuff, or you want to talk some music?
Let's see here, man. I don't think I have too much more for the Halloween, even though Halloween was dope. In brief, I will say that the Halloween trend that I happened to notice, as you would guess, was Joker. There was fucking Joker everything. And maybe I'm a jaded dickhead, but my thing was Joker Doom. And my point was like, all the things Joker. You can't escape it. It's going to happen anyhow. You might as well lean into it to highlight the absurdity. So I did a Heath Ledger-inspired Dr. Doom Joker, and it came out well. It looks good. But yeah, I saw like so many Jokers, and a surprising number of Jared Leto Jokers.
Oh, wow.
Which I feel like was just people trolling.
Well, I think that's the popular costume you can find in the stores still.
What? No.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be Jared Leto Joker.
Some people don't care about the differences there. I think that's too subtle a nuance for some people to take.
I think that like animated Joker, original Joker, Heath Ledger Joker, Jack Nicholson Joker, they all count. The Jared Leto Joker should not exist. Should not even be in that movie.
I get what they were going for. I don't love it. I wouldn't defend it, but I get what they were going for. So, whatever. Did you see Joker?
No. Did you?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I didn't like it.
See,
I'm one of the only people that didn't like it.
No, not at all. I've heard reviews from other folks like yourself that whose taste I actually put stock in, and are like, it was ham-fisted, it clubbed you over the head with certain points, and it just felt like, oh, thanks for treating me like an idiot. I would totally not have gotten it if you didn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go that far, but it wasn't the character I know, And I understand people have to reinterpret the characters every now and again, but I just didn't love it. I don't know.
I can't get excited to see it, even though I'm pretty sure it's probably going to get a lot of Hollywood accolades.
Oh man,
Accolades is a word, right?
it is. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it's especially worthy. I don't know. It's interesting as a period piece. I guess it's trying to be like 1980, 1981 New York City. So, they do that sort of aspect of it all right. If you want to see people still wearing butterfly collars and shit, yeah, that's the movie for you.
Okay. A period piece, a period Joker piece.
Yeah.
So could you see, having seen the Joker, could you see that, excuse me, could you see that Joker maturing to a crime lord?
No, because it's not even the Joker. It's something different. It's something new. That's not the Joker.
So that dude's never going to grow up to fight Batman?
I can't see it.
Okay.
I mean, the Joker, as he has always been portrayed, does not... I mean, he might wear makeup, but he has been, altered by chemicals. His bleached skin and his hair is all fucked up, and that just isn't part of this story. So I can't connect it to the main element of the character that's always been there all along. They did one thing right. It's not that much of a spoiler, so I'm going to say it.
Okay.
This guy has a name that we're talking about, but that's not his real name. And you find out in the movie he's adopted. And he doesn't know who he really is. And that's one thing about the Joker that's been consistent. No one knows who he is. He doesn't know where he came from. He has no identity.
Oh, interesting.
He has no alter ego.
That's kind of cool.
You know what I mean? So they kind of got that part kind of right. But
well, that's cool. That's at least something cool.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I don't know.
Now, we did talk about campy horror that was still of value. Have you been able to catch any of the revived Creepshow series?
Yes.
That's on Shudder.
Yes, I've seen 4 of them, I think.
Oh, I'm missing one. I've only seen 3.
I think there's I've seen 4. And yeah, they're pretty good. They should be good because I know Greg Nicotero is running the show, and he's awesome from K&B Effects.
I love that series because
it's fun.
It is fun. It's like they take something that could be scary, but they do it in such a way that is so pulpy that it's way more fun than it is scary. And it's like the dramatic and yet completely transparent twist. And like they're getting all these awesome cameos that Jeffrey Combs, Adrienne Barbeau, from the original Creepshow movie. Mm-hmm. There were Big Boy from Outkast was in it. Yeah, like they're getting every episode. They're getting crazy cameos stuck in there.
Yeah, and some of the writing is pretty interesting. I think they're doing they did Stephen King story. I think they're going to do a Joe Hill story.
Oh, awesome.
I want to say they're going to do a Joe R. Lansdale story. I might have that wrong, but he's fun. He's written some really crazy. He's the Bubba Hotep guy.
Oh, okay.
He's written some really interesting stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I really enjoy it, and it's worthwhile. They're fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is there any music that gives you comfort or excitement in the Halloween season?
Well, I think I touched before on Corlix being like straight awesome. Mm-hmm. And they recently came into my life, and I like being a new fan, I'm watching them closely, and I see big things happening with them. They just did a collaboration with ESA, which is pretty exciting. ESA is pretty cool. They do some good shit.
Not my style, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to see about seeing if I could do some matchmaking and get Corlix to work with Moris Blak, because I think that they have like some compatible style.
I can see that.
And Brian is like a pretty amicable bloke. It's Brian Black Noise, who is Moris Blak, I guess. Yeah, so like if I'm
Moris
like,
Black Noise.
Yeah, if I'm like, Brian, when are you going to team up with Corlix? He'd be like, oh, I should do that? Yeah, you totally should. All right. Well, I'll look into it.
Well, you can tell him tomorrow, right?
Yeah, he's got a show coming up tomorrow.
There you go.
Gonna have to then. Buy his new album. He just had following 2 single track releases. I think he has a full pressed album that will be available at his live shows.
Oh, okay, all right. I know it's out soon on Negative Gain.
Yeah.
It hasn't dropped yet. I think it drops tomorrow, actually. Yeah.
I know that if you are at his live shows, like I think there are some people who have it from going out to on the 26th to his Kodo show in Salem. So I think it's probably out there, but yeah, I plan on picking up a copy tomorrow.
Cool.
As well as another Relic t-shirt, because their shirts are really good.
Okay.
The band's good, but their shirts are really good. What you gonna do?
I know.
Yeah.
Any other new stuff you've come across that you want to highlight?
You know, it's sort of a crossover. I've been playing a lot of Borderlands and Borderlands 3, and every once in a while there's like something in the soundtrack that is so good I am distracted from like the crazy fight that I'm in to be like, oh shit, that's well done. That's a pretty good track. So like, I think as far as video game soundtracks go, I know that Jesper Kid was involved in a lot of the soundtrack. He's not the sole composer, artist creating it, but he did a lot of tracks, and he's got a good track record of making some really good music.
Nice.
And my last musical tidbit is, after a little bit of a shakeup with Ashbury Heights, where one of the members seemed to kind of abruptly, you know, I don't want to say anything that would add stress to any of those guys, because they were all like really among my very favorite artists. But it seemed like there was like a weird, like slightly inappropriate departure from with the female vocalist who left and made social media posts about her own leaving. And I don't know, it felt like it wasn't necessarily wrong. It just felt like there was a bunch of emotion that I didn't feel privy to witnessing that came out. I guess that's how it is. Like, people feel things, and sometimes you can tell what they're feeling, and that's always uncomfortable. So, but they're, after a little hiatus, Ashbury Heights is back being creative and doing performances, and they did a cover of People Are Strange, which under some circumstances I would go into with hesitation, because that song's been covered like a bazillion times, and so you have to say, like, can you really bring something new and interesting to it? But what they did was fun, and I like it. And they're back with the original vocalist, female vocalist Yaz is back with them. So it's nice, and I'm glad that they're still on all good terms. Anders and Yaz making music again and making fun videos for it that are pretty homemade looking, but still good. Cool. Yeah, it's good.
I'll have to check that out.
How about you? What's on your music front?
Oh, well, a couple things I've seen lately. Tiger Squawk keeps pumping them out. So, there's a lot of stuff going on. Brian sent us the most recent sampler, which I haven't really had time to digest, but I was already aware of Beta Virus's new release, Chroma, which is basically like a psytrance type style.
Nice.
Not my main jam, but Not bad. Pretty cool stuff. And recently, a little while ago, I saw there's a company I think they're a magazine called Side-Line.
Oh yeah, they've been a big player in the goth-industrial EBM music news for a long time.
Yeah, so they've been putting out a compilation called Face the Beat, and they have several volumes, and the proceeds go to charity. And I recently got through like sort of processing session 4, which was 92 tracks.
Yeah, they're big.
They're big. They're name your own price, and they're sort of arranged alphabetically by artist, mostly. So it's not really curated as to being like a slick mix from one thing to another, but it's just this ton of music that you can pay whatever you like for, and the money, like I said, goes to a good cause. And I was just getting through session 4, and I had session 4 in my notes to talk about. And then they released session 5, and I'm like, God damn it.
That's hilarious, because I picked up session 5, and I was
session
like,
5
didn't
is
they
like,
just drop session 5? And it's, again, it's an absurd number of
It's
songs.
like 87 tracks or something. It's crazy.
It's like 1,000 hits or 1,000 dope tracks you need to know.
But for real, some of them are very quality. I like some of them very much. Some of them aren't my style. I don't care for the more aggressive, maybe some of the faster stuff. But there's a range of styles and a ton of different artists. So I think they're well worth anybody checking out. Big thing that came out a little while ago was Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds' new record called Ghost Teen.
How is it?
I read a review that said it was like Nick Cave had written an entire album of The Cure's Plain Song, which is like one of their most beautiful things they did. That's sort of true, but Plain Song is like my number 1 all-time favorite song, and it's not quite that good. But if you're a Nick Cave fan, maybe it is. I don't know. I like Nick Cave. He's just not my, not my hugest thing.
Yeah.
But pretty good stuff. Different. Very calm. Very... Not a lot of rhythm. They kind of flow kind of slowly. It's not really... There's no crazy... No, O'Malley's Bar.
I am not... Like, I have weird holes in my my knowledge for especially the older stuff. Just I wasn't exposed evenly across the genres. So to me, Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen are kind of like adjacent.
There's a viewpoint. If that's
Nick,
true.
Nick Cave is the goth Leonard Cohen.
A bit.
So like that's just generally my shorthand for him, but
I'm not the biggest Cohen authority, but this could be Nick Cave's at his most Cohen-esque.
Oh.
But with an injected beautiful layer with it.
That's cool.
I don't know. It's slow, it's more atmospheric, but it is good. If it doesn't put you to sleep, I think you'll enjoy it.
That's pretty dope.
Of course, KMFDM's Paradise finally came out, the whole record. What do you think?
I think that I don't know if it's my absolute favorite KMFDM, but it definitely starts with KMF, and that track is great. It's atypical, where like they actually bring in a lot of hip hop element, and it's really good.
I found it interesting that there's a lot of different styles on the record.
Yeah,
it covers a lot of territory. I think it's well done. I think it's worth having.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's good stuff.
I mean, I can't think about any KMFDM song or KMFDM release that I was like that I would have advocated skipping. Like
okay.
they're usually, I mean, if you like KMFDM, you will at least get like tickled with some self-referential stuff, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
That's just what they do.
They're becoming pretty masterful at that.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good time.
Metropolis Records put something out that I hadn't heard of, so I checked it out. The band is called A Projection, and the name of the record was Section, and they're a Swedish band, and it has a very old school style to it, very like 80s, 90s, kind of first wave into second wave goth sound, very old school. So I found that really interesting. And also sort of in that vein, there's a new band from, I believe it's Daniel Belasco from Glass Apple Bonsai. He's doing something called the Necromancer's Union, which is actually pretty cool. It's very goth focused, very early goth post-punk sound, and pretty well done. So check them out on Bandcamp.
Now, how do you feel about Glass Apple Bonsai?
I haven't heard a lot of the recorded output. I saw them live once. It was interesting. It wasn't quite up my alley.
I'm going to disagree with Brian. Brian Gropner is a fan. I am not a fan. I feel like they're presenting not my favorite things of synthwave and are kind of forwarding the most boring elements of it. Oh, no, I'm being a dick now. They're not my bag.
They're not your thing.
That's not my thing.
Yeah, just say that.
That's true, because I can't say that I love synthwave in general. There's some things that I love, but probably it would be argued that I'm kind of loving the bits that are the least synthwavy. So I just don't know if it's my jam.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for that out. Even though I have to apologize to Belasco?
I think so.
Yeah, I got to apologize. I was a dick for a second there.
Oh.
I appreciate you as an artist.
There you go.
But it's not necessarily my jam.
I think all artists understand that. It's you're not doing it to please everybody.
And I'm ready for it to be my jam in the future. It is at this point where I am, at that point where they were, the jams did not align.
I see. Well, the Necromancer's Union might be more acceptable to you.
Off to a good start. All right.
Yeah.
It's got unions and it's got necromancy. I'm into it. These are causes I can get behind.
It's like a leftist death wizard.
That's right.
Yeah.
For a fair wage.
Exactly.
They'll raise the dead, but for a fair wage and good working conditions. And that's important.
That's where it's at.
With the erosion of the necromancer's rights, and you gotta really look out for them. Anything else? Any other music?
That's all I got for the moment.
Well, what is the Necromancer's Union like?
They're again, it's kind of an old school goth sound.
Okay.
It very much has a retro thing going on, very post punk, but with energy. So it's got that. I can't think of anything to directly compare it to right now.
Maybe that's positive. It means it's doing something new enough that it's hard to directly correlate.
It's a retro style, but you wouldn't necessarily mistake it for something from that era. So it does sound kind of new, but it's in that style. So I find it interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
For sure.
Later tonight, I'm actually going to pick up the fresh off the presses release of Death Stranding, which I don't know what the fuck this game is about. It's got Mads Mikkelsen and who's the dude from Walking Dead? That guy?
Daryl Dixon.
Daryl.
What's his name?
It's got Daryl, and it's got
Norman Reedus, who I like. Right now, I have to confess, I've never played a Hideo. Wait, did Hideo Kojima? He did all of the original Silent Hills, right? I don't know about that.
Well,
I know the Metal Gear Solid side.
Right, I've never played any Metal Gear.
It can be frustratingly difficult.
I've heard that it's there's weird.
There's
weird shit and kind of funny shit.
There's a lot of humor to be found in them, if you know where to look, yeah.
So, I am looking forward to a sort of clear palette to experience what Hideo Kojima does in Death Stranding that has playfully been called, ladder simulator or walking simulator.
Yeah.
or Baby Simulator. But I've been trying to actually steer clear of reviews and Let's Plays and things like that, because if it's a unique experience, I want to actually like open that box when I get to it. I don't want to know that, like, I've heard things accidentally that are really cool, but I don't want to know about that. So I'm actually pretty blank as far as my impression going in, other than it looks like a dude walking around a lot and swinging a briefcase. Right? Is that mostly what happens? I don't know.
I guess.
I have a problem because I've been really taking my time with Borderlands 3, so I don't know that, like, I'm going to rip right in. I'll probably put it, like, on a tall shelf for it to overlook the room, and then, like, we'll ceremoniously break into it and, like, enjoy the baby times.
I think it will definitely be a unique experience. I just hope it's a unique experience that's worth having. I really can't tell. So I will wait for your report. I
like Mads.
Oh, yeah.
I like
that Guillermo del Toro is in it.
Yeah. So, like, I really can't... Given the people who are involved, I can't see how this could be fucked up.
It's definitely going to be arty. Is it going to be fun is the question.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say.
We'll say, do you have any DJ gigs coming up?
No. In fact, I should apologize. I had to miss the last Catharsis because I was in Philadelphia at the time, and I had booked that before the club date was finalized. So DJ Virus, Andrew Virus from Doomsday Virus, formerly DJ Drunk, but I think that title is being left behind.
That's fine.
Not sure. He filled in, and
it's probably a healthy approach.
Did a great job, I think.
Cool.
But yeah, we don't have I haven't heard the next date yet. So
okay.
But that'll probably be the next thing.
Well, one topic that I had thought to bring up, because I actually had 2 unusual gigs in October, and for me, like, I romanticize my DJing status as, like, very underground, and I will come out of the woodwork for very special events, but I'm just not terribly prolific at the moment. But I did 2 events in October, but neither of them were goth-industrial. And so it poses the question of, how do you play for a crowd that you have no idea what the crowd composition will be?
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, so I did for a good cause, I did this Safer Bars initiative thing that was helping to raise awareness of, like, what to look for when people are being predatory at a bar and how to diffuse a situation without putting yourself at risk. It was a really, really worthwhile cause, and I was happy to like donate services to that. But in this, I was playing a bar I wasn't familiar with, 4 people, staff, and that I didn't really know, and it was like
in a somewhat random crowd that we knew was going to be circulating. Right?
You didn't know who was going to come in because it was part of a scavenger hunt where people were bouncing between 6 different bars to find certain elements from each one. A number of different. Forgive me if I
4,
have
5,
a number
6.
wrong.
I don't know. A lot of them.
But what I kind of copped out to was punk and dark 80s.
I think it worked really well
because, like, there's some shit that is just, it's pretty universally palatable. Plus, I knew that the people who worked there had a punk leaning, and so at the very least, I would make the people who were working pleased with my selection, because I didn't want to be the dickhead who made that shift, like, absolutely unbearable.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like Is it safe to call it somewhat of a dive bar? Is that too cruel?
I don't know if I would call it a dive bar. It's definitely small, but I think it's in good repair. Like, I don't think there's, like, a lot of things that are dangerous there.
Is that a criteria?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like, there's certain bars where, like, if you cut yourself on something or if you drop something and still think you have a 5-second rule to eat it, you're just dead. You're just over. You should never have done that.
Yeah.
But I was wondering what if you had any approach to playing for like a random crowd and what your tact would be. And actually I think that you would get along really easily because your old school background has you hitting like even in the goth-industrial, you will know, like, yeah, this shit was so big, even the mainstream people loved it. So, like, I think you have that breadth of experience for that.
I'd say so, a little bit. Yeah, I'd probably go pretty 80s heavy. I did DJ an 80s night for a while, so I'd probably lean on that experience quite a bit. Play some happy 80s, play some dark 80s, play some crossover punk, some crossover goth kind of stuff. Maybe even get into, throw a 90s grunge song in there, whatever. Mix it with the punk stuff. And
yeah.
Maybe something like that. I mean, I can imagine that going over pretty well a lot of places.
No, I'm inspired now, and I wish I had thought about some 90s grunge at the time. Like,
you did play a cover, right? A jazz cover of, like... Did you play the Black Hole song?
Oh, yeah.
cover?
So, like, I have this, like... I have an extensive playlist that is kind of jazz-inspired, which is kind of ironic because it's a good playlist, and it's extremely utilitarian because... If you like grunge, you'll like this version. If you like jazz, you'll like this version. And the Venn diagram ends up, like, catching a lot from two somewhat disparate sets of people. So it's a good, like, Swiss Army genre to pull out the speakeasy. But that was actually the second event that I did was a steampunk, sort of steampunk themed event for the city of Troy. The Enchanted City was back this year in a different format. It was not the sprawling multi-block street fair that it has been in years gone by. I think the city of Troy was playing their budget a bit conservative this year, and so certain monies dried up. But they didn't, the people who were actually showrunners, they didn't want it to completely not happen. So they reined it in, and they got a really nice space, and it was a lot of fun. I played a bunch of different stuff. I know that the promoters were happy with what I did, and people were dancing, and people stayed until the end, which is not a huge stretch because it ended at 9.
Well, still, it's a good time.
They stayed till 9.
Yeah.
Almost till their bedtime. So, that was cool. But it was another situation where I'm like, there's families here, there's kids.
Oh, right. Can't play Fistful of Fuck You.
I could. But then, like, the likelihood that I would ever be invited back would diminish. And I think it's not even like I didn't want to take the risk. It's just not the right. But is it ever the wrong? I don't know. Yeah, I didn't do that. But I did.
Did you get any requests for Closer?
That didn't come up either.
Oh.
But I have to go back to the safer bars thing. The bartender had such a, like, depth of knowledge of music. Every time I would play something, he would point out, like, oh, you know why this song's fucked up, right? And he would tell, like, I played a Bow Wow Wow song, I Want Candy, because I was like, hey, it's near Halloween. I want candy. And he's like, yeah, she was 14 years old dating a 35-year-old man when she recorded that. And I was like, did not know that. Did not mean to lean into the predatory theme of the evening.
Yeah.
But, it's like, yeah, okay.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, at first I think he might have been hazing me. Like, because you test people, or I don't, but some people test people, and I just was like, did not know that. Don't really care to know too much about the personal lives of the musicians, otherwise I start hating it. Like, because I think a lot of good musicians are actually dickheads. Maybe.
They can be.
They can be.
Know.
They're like people. They're almost like people.
Just about.
Yeah. An approximation of personhood.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, that was a thing. But
okay.
both went okay. I survived without excessive misery.
It sounds like you thrived.
Hey, thank you. I'll imagine that I thrived.
I was there for one of those. It was very successful.
Yeah. I mean, the Safer Bars one, I think when you were there it was pretty low key.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was easy to, like, hey, what do you want to hear? Picks, like of the, at the time, very small number of people who were there, it's like any one person could get a 25% vote.
Yeah.
So.
Easy to please.
There you go. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, cool.
Fun.
Well, before we go any deeper, we probably have to wrap it up shortly. But let's talk about our second cup.
Oh, yeah. So, the second cup is really simple. I just happened upon this interesting-looking spirit at a local dispensary. What do they call the places that sell liquor?
Liquor stores?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
And so there's a brand called Infused Spirits. And sometimes you see something on the shelf and a low price tag kind of makes you nervous. Like, you see it and you're like, it's 3/4 of a liter and it's $20. And I like the aesthetic of the label, but does that mean that this is like rubbing alcohol cut with water with like high fructose corn syrup thrown in? So it was an establishment that I kind of relatively trust. And I went and asked, before I bought it, I was like, how is this? And he started running into like, well, you have to like hot stuff if you're going to like this. And I was like, well, no, I mean, like, is this really garbage vodka? And he was like, no, it's actually really good. So on that, I took the chance and picked up the Infused Spirits Mango Habanero vodka. And as someone who does drink a lot of spicy food, drink what? Oh my gosh, Snakebite. Anyhow, as someone who has a taste for spice, that's what I meant to say. Drinking spicy through a straw, okay, that's gross. I do like spice, I like heat, but there's something about it that is disarming. Even if you can handle heat, there's like a kind of like reflex of like, oh, that shit's hot. And you just like deal with it for a minute. It makes for very strange mixed drinks. Not necessarily bad, but strange. Like doing that with an orange mixer gives a really weird result.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, orange mango is a thing, but then the habanero kicks in and it's maybe not the right thing. But an impromptu variation to the Snakebite, I put a little bit that in, and it was very little. It was almost like using it in the place of bitters.
Okay.
It did impart a little bit of the spiciness, and I think maybe brought a little of that venom that we would like to see in a drink.
So
nice. Not bad.
Okay.
But yeah, I can say that I will be trying more of the Infused Spirits line, because the Mango Habanero worked out really well. I think it's definitely neat is an option, and trying it in mixed drinks is at least fun. Like, I don't know if it's going to be good, but like, oh my God, I would not use this to make any kind of Russian, black or white. That is the worst application. Like,
unless you really like spicy chocolate flavors.
A spicy, chocolatey, creamy white Russian made with this mango habanero. I guess maybe it's kind of like a mango, like if you had a mango lassi that was also
spicy
like
as hell.
Fucking spiced out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, certainly straight, if you take a shot of it, it's going to hit you pretty hard.
I will say, one of its virtues is that if you are coming down with a cold, it just sipping at a cup of it does wonders. Like, something about the way the endorphins from the heat come, it really alleviates some of the misery of a cold.
I can see that.
So, like, that was actually kind of a cool medicinal off-label application. And I'm not a real doctor, so when I say start drinking vodka as soon as you start feeling sick, just take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. What's nice about this for me is that the mango flavor is fairly in the background. I'm not a big fruit flavor or mango type person, so that's there. But the habanero flavor and the heat is much more pronounced. So I found it pretty nice for me.
Cool. I think that's all the time we have.
All right. We're going to wrap this one up for now, but we'll be back at you soon.
Yeah, real soon.
With hopefully to make up for our previous gap.
Yeah, we've gapped a little bit, and to that effect, I'm still thirsty. And so,
yeah,
we'll be seeing you soon.
All right. Peace, everybody.
Looking at, attend. Or whatever. Peace. Well, like I said, I'll be seeing you soon. I won't see anybody.
Oh.
I'll see you.
I missed that.
But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out.
We'll see him. All right. Peace.
Can be my shadow, my immortality. Seal this moment, pagan ceremony.